Anoushka Shankar is known for her virtuosity on the sitar and her exploration of musical traditions from across the globe. Shankar's newest artistic journey finds her reconnecting the musical link between India and Spain. Anjum Chaudhry speaks with Shankar about her new album Traveler and the motivation for bringing together Indian raga and Spanish flamenco. Shankar discusses the rewards of collaborating with Spanish musicians. She also talks about the ways her musical choices reflect her upbringing and lifestyle.
Why did you choose Traveler as the title of your new album?
A couple of reasons, I suppose. One, because I felt like my role musically was that of a traveler. As a sitarist and the Indian musician, I was kind of crossing over towards the Spanish flamenco tradition and working in Spain and recording predominantly in Spain with Spanish musicians and learning about that tradition in order to make the record. So that was a journey that was being recorded by the album. And also because I wanted to kind of reference and pay respect to the traveling people of the past, because, of course, that journey had already been made before by the Rajasthani gypsies from India, traveling centuries ago. And so since that link was something we were exploring, I wanted to kind of nod to that in the title as well.
After listening to your album Beloved that has more electro notes, it's not surprising to see you coming back with a new one that again integrates two very different musical words. So how would you explain the blend of flamenco with Indian classical music?
The beauty of it being an entire album instead of just one piece of music is that we could do it many different ways. So there isn't just one way that it's being done, because, of course, both traditions are very, very big, vast traditions of music. And so I wanted to explore as much as I could. So some of the pieces focus more on the lyrical, spiritual quality that is present in both of the musical styles. For example, Boy Meets Girl is a very, very gentle piece of music that sounds very simple, but it's actually exploring two very old classical styles from both traditions at the same time. And then a lot of the pieces kind of really go deeply into the rhythm and excitement that is present in both traditions. Flamenco is known for its very exciting rhythms, and Indian music as well is known for its very complex rhythmic structures. And so you can really have a lot of fun when you start to take Indian musicians and flamenco musicians and allow them to explore the rhythm as well together.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the fusion between flamenco tones and the classical Indian rhythm is shockingly smooth in the entire album. So,
Oh,
I mean, how
you.
did you manage to perfectly match these two music styles? Because when you think of flamenco and Indian classical music, you see them very apart.
I suppose it's just about making choices, really. And about knowing what you're doing. I was very mindful of giving both styles respect. I didn't want to just kind of mash them together in a way that wasn't appropriate. And so I had to learn a lot about flamenco in order to understand the rhythm so that I knew what I was doing a little bit more. And from there, it was about making choices. Not every piece of music is pure flamenco, and neither is every piece of music pure Indian classical music. But some are pure flamenco, some are pure Indian, and some take influences of both and meet somewhere in the middle. And so it kind of depended on each piece of music what I felt that piece needed, And so sometimes I would choose to stay entirely within a flamenco rhythm and, fit the Indian melodies and things into a flamenco rhythm so that the piece would be, more in the Spanish side. And sometimes I would make the decision the other way around and kind of teach Spanish musicians about the Indian rhythmic cycle and have them play more within that. So it really just depended on each piece.
Like the first one, Inside Me, is a real blend. You hear the sitar in the background and the flamenco rhythms. So how would you describe your artistic experience while recording this album?
It was a really rich experience. I learned so much, I think the beauty of collaboration is how much you can learn from other people. Each time you work with someone else, you bring a whole different set of ideas and experiences to the piece of music, and so it has the opportunity to become better than you would make it alone. Mm. I got to work with some real legends from both the Indian and the flamenco side that I'd never worked with before, and so I really feel like it made me a stronger musician. And and outside of that, I also just had a lot of fun. I mean, I got to meet really great people and make some music with them and have a good time. It was great.
The sitar is obviously the leading instrument in this album, but you still give a large space to other instruments, dancers, singers, and it's almost like you're having a conversation with them. Is that a typical thing of Indian music?
Not really, in the sense that if you play instrumental music, or if you play classical music, I should say, then normally, if the lead instrumentalist is making an album, then it would be a purely instrumental record in a classical sense. Mm-hmm. But of course, we have many forms of ensemble music as well, and songs play a huge part in our music, like in any form of music. The voice is generally the predominant, most popular instrument, and so most of the more mainstream forms of music involve, songs. I think I approach things differently if I approach them as an instrumentalist versus as a composer. And if I'm thinking purely as an instrumentalist within a classical framework, then that's one thing. But if I'm working as a composer, then it's not just about me, it's about the piece of music. And so I think I tend to write with my instrument first. So most of the things I write tend to come out first on the sitar. But I'm not thinking of them all for me. I'm very aware when I write a melody or a feeling that I want to express what the correct sound is, to bring that across. And it's not always me.
Yes.
So it really depends on the music, I think.
Yes.
And allowing the music to be the best it can be.
Exactly. I mean, it's just that when you listen to your album, it feels like each instrument is replying to the other, especially to the sitar as the main one. So that makes the beauty of your album. So tell me about your favorite song. What is your favorite song out of this album?
Oh, it's such a cliche, but it's really hard to pick a favorite song. Because you write them all from such a personal space, that it's hard to pick a favorite. I think two of the ones that I think are the best example of the flamenco Indian music collaboration in two different ways. One is Bulería con Ricardo, which is a very, very kind of passionate, fast, exciting collaboration between a piano and a sitar. Mm-hmm. And then on the kind of opposite end is Boy Meets Girl, which is a sitar-guitar duet, which is very, very lyrical and very, very gentle. And they're both instrumental pieces, but I think between the two of them, you see the kind of variety that exists between the two styles and how differently you can approach them.
Looking at your artistic route, Traveler seems to be aligned with your desire to bring Hindustani classical music closer to other types of music, like in Beloved as well. So is that a way to increase interest in classical music?
Partially. I think on one side, the classical music has a very strong audience in itself, and I think it deserves to be heard and performed in its own context, very much so. But I do know that many, many people end up coming to new music from other forms of music. And so, they might end up hearing it on an album like this and then end up coming to love the more classical stuff as well, which is really, really wonderful. But having said that, I don't really do it in that conscious of a way. It's more a form of expression than anything else. And I tend to make music that explores various cultures because that's the kind of life I live. As someone that travels around the world and lives in different countries the way so many of us do nowadays, it makes sense for the art to reflect that and to make sense of that.
Tickets are on sale for Anoushka Shankar Presents Traveler, a Raga Flamenco Journey, April 4th, 2012 at Penn State's Eisenhower Auditorium. Purchase tickets online at www.cpa.psu.edu or by phone at 1-800-ARTS-TIX.